Hey party people, I'm Captain Zeus and welcome back to BP Fun. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a review over the season finale for the Acolyte series. Now, spoiler warning for those of you that have not seen the show, I will be going into some details about this episode. And if you like these reviews, go ahead and like and subscribe for more just like this and click the bell to be notified whenever we post some more nerdy content. Now, I will say this episode was also confusing. So starting things off in this episode, we see the aftermath of episode 7 where Osha's putting on the helmet that Qimir had. Now, for some reason, once she puts that on, Qimir gets taken over kind of by Osha, and I guess she sees a vision of the future, which at first I was like, how does that make sense? But I mean, people that are strong in the Force typically have visions every now and then. I think it's happened a good amount of times in canon, so I was like, okay, that's probably the reason here. And the way the vision went isn't exactly how it played out, which it's a poetic thing that does happen often. She sees that Mai's gonna kill Sol, she's on her way, yada yada yada. And so we see Qimir and Osha kind of forming a truce for the most part, which was kind of weird, but I guess it also makes sense. He's trying to persuade her to join him, to join the dark side, to say the least. And the thing that's honestly going to be giving everyone pause and making everyone want to watch this episode is the fact that we see what can only be assumed as Darth Plagueis in that cave area with Qimir, which, one, how does Osha not realize that there's a whole freaking alien dude living in that same exact small space? There wasn't really any other rooms there, kind of sus. And two, it was my impression that Qimir didn't learn from anyone. He didn't have his own master, and he was looking for a student, so maybe this was all Darth Plagueis' plan? And why, really, is Darth Plagueis there? So many questions surrounding the Darth Plagueis scenario here. We didn't really get to see much besides like the eyes, outline of his head, and his old crusty looking nails, but I feel like that was some fan service for sure, considering how lackluster this season has and show in general has been. They definitely were trying to get people interested in another season with this episode, and we'll go more about that in a little bit here. We see that May breaks out of her holdings from Sol, which, okay, whatever. I'm not sure why Sol didn't take away all the items from her while she was wrapped up, but he was there to explain the details, whatever. And as May escapes, Sol chases after her, and as soon as he's about to snag her or shoot her down, whatever the case, for literally no reason, and this was never explained and it makes no sense, Basil disables the ship. Why? Seriously, someone explain why he did that. It makes no sense. He's just some random effing tracker that they keep pushing in front of our faces. Why did he disable the ship? Makes no sense. Whatever. They land in Brandok because that's where they're trying to end the story where it all began. Oh, whatever. And then we have one of the most useless freaking scenes in this whole episode. Green freaking She-Hulk looking lady. I can't remember her name. Anyway, she's confronted by some guy in the Senate who doesn't like Jedi. Wow, I could never have guessed there's in this show someone who hates the Jedi very much and is trying to essentially shut them down in a show that's kind of portraying Jedis as bad people, even more so in this episode. You take that segment out of this episode, it was honestly, you don't miss anything. It's pointless. I don't know why they added it in there. And then we see the confrontation between Sol and Qimir, as well as May, whatever, and Osha. Now, I will say the slow-mo moments in this episode was stupid. However, the action with Qimir and Sol was freaking amazing. I was entranced in that fight scene. Now, the May and Osha fight scene was stupid as frick. Kind of pointless, to be honest. I don't know if it was just a poor choreography in that scene or because of the editing, they had to do the fighting style of one side and then the other. I don't know. I just didn't like it. It was garbage. Not a fan. But like I said, Qimir and Sol, that fight scene was dope. I really liked the unorthodox fighting styles these guys use, and that does bring me to something here. I was under the impression that in the midst of the lightsaber fight, turning your lightsaber off and then turning it back on was considered like an illegal move, so to speak. And not only does Sol do that a lot in this fight, but he also has done that a lot in general. We see that in the flashback when he goes up against the Wookiee Jedi and does that to him. So I noticed Sol does that a lot. So maybe it's not an illegal move. Maybe it's just an unorthodox move that's not recommended. I don't know. Nevertheless, fighting was freaking dope. We get to the scene where Sol, he's confronting not only Qimir, but he's also confronting Mai. Mai is basically trying to have him admit he killed her mom. It's so obvious what they're going with here when you're watching it. She's like, I want you to say it. It's like, oh, you want him to say it so that way Osha walks in on him and then turns to the dark side and kills him. That's exactly what's gonna happen. And that's exactly what did happen. Osha comes in and she snaps and kills her master. He tells her it's okay, which I'm like, dude, Soul, you're such a G, but whatever. Kind of weird that she just went full dark side. To be honest, I didn't feel like there was much buildup with her leaning more to the dark side. It was more of just her and her relationship with Soul was just that strong throughout the entire season until like this episode. So that was kind of weird, but nevertheless, she does it. We learn in this sequence when She-Hulk, I can't remember her name, when she pops in with the freaking Jedi gangsters, that she is the master of Qimir, which makes sense because, to be honest, this green lady, she's been like a prick throughout this whole season. Very sus, very hush-hush, and I felt like something was off about her, but I was like, maybe it's just me, maybe it's just how she's put in these scenarios, it's just awkward, whatever. But no, she's not a good person. She's pretty... No, not cool. And I can see her totally pulling a Luke Skywalker, but instead actually going through with it and trying to kill Qimir because she sees a glimmer of darkness in him. And that seems to be the case here, because as soon as Qimir had his helmet off, she noticed him like that. Which then also brings me to another question. She was supposedly super close with Soul, and when he died, she didn't feel anything. I noticed throughout Star Wars, if someone close to you dies, you could feel it through the Force. Nothing. The first thing she noticed was her freaking pupil, who should be dead. So that was kind of weird. Maybe she wasn't actually close to him. Maybe it was all a ruse because she's just a manipulative person. I don't know. But Mai and Osha try to escape. Qimir also escapes as well from the clutches of the Jedi. They all meet up at that tree that Osha and Mai were at in like the flashback. And here's another thing that doesn't make any sense. They're like, okay, we gotta leave. And instead of Qimir taking both of them with him, because his whole thing, by the way, was trying to kill May. His whole thing was, it's either you're with me or I'm gonna kill you. And instead of doing either of those, he wipes her memory. That doesn't make any sense. That kind of was going against everything he was trying to go for up until this episode, up until that part of the episode, actually. Like, it didn't make sense why he didn't just take both of the twins, especially since they're basically the same person. So they'll fuse together at some point down the line, storyline wise. Why didn't he just take them both? They obviously got the skills. He could take care of both of them. That's fine. Or he should have just killed one of them, or killed both of them. Who freaking cares? It made no sense to wipe May's memory. And he didn't even do a good job at that. She remembers a lot of important details that's going to make her remember her past. So that didn't make any sense. Osha going with Qimir, I saw that coming since the last episode. That's probably what was going to happen. That's why they were teasing it with her staying with Qimir. And then the end of the episode, we see what I predicted, by the way, a few videos ago. They blamed everything on Soul. They blamed everything on Soul. He was the bad guy the whole time. That's why the council and everyone, the Jedi, did not know about the Sith, because they just blamed it all on Soul, which is such a shame. I saw it coming because that's just kind of how they were building it up, but that's such a shame. And then her master, the Green Lady's master, is Yoda? That's stupid. I honestly, first of all, I thought it was going to be Darth Plagueis. I thought that would have been cool. That would have made sense as to why she's such a prick, why she's been doing these bad things, is because she's working with the bad guy. But no, she's the master, she's the student of Yoda. Are you kidding me? I feel like that made no sense. Obviously, if that's how it was in the High Republic novels and books, then that's how it was. But I felt like that was just an unnecessary fan service in this episode to try to persuade people to want another season. Like, all in all, this season in general, I'm giving like a 3 out of 10. Now, I'm also going to give this episode like a 4 out of 10 because it's just really bad writing with so many questions being left unanswered and so many confusing moments that just don't make sense. And I don't mean just in like Star Wars sense, I just mean in general. And I'm genuinely surprised anyone likes this show. Like, I get it if you're like, oh, it's okay. You know, I'm watching it because it's Star Wars, I'll put it in the background or whatever. But if you love this show, I question your tastes. Respectfully, I question your taste because there's so many things wrong with this season, with this show. I don't want this to be renewed. This should not be renewed whatsoever. Like, this was a waste of money. We should have invested this in literally any other project that people actually wanted. This had so much potential, and that's another thing that frustrates me. This show has so much potential because it's essentially uncharted territory, and it's just a waste. Like, I can see why there was rumors of the show being canceled before it even released. I will never watch this again, honestly. I only pushed through this because I was interested as to where it was going. Obviously, I know some people don't want to watch the show, but they're interested in the reviews, or they just want to see other people's opinions, and I'm here for it. You know, I'm all cool with civilized discussions about it, but man, this show was just not good. I mean, it could have been worse. Don't get me wrong. This show could have been worse by a large margin, but it's just not good. I mean, what did you guys think of this episode? What did you guys think of this series? Let me know in the comments below. I'm Captain Zeus, and I'll catch you guys later. See ya.